And now those four were being born as non-humans that we've just discussed before, and the next four is being born as humans, however, not in a favourable state. So the first is not being born as a barbarian. What is a barbarian? A barbarian is somebody who has no belief in the Dharma, who has no faith in cause and effect. What are they concerned with? They are mainly concerned with their material concerns. As Chandragurman said, they are like cows sometimes. What do cows do? In order to get the tastiest grass, they walk all around and they don't notice a well or a cliff, and they might fall down the cliff or the well in their search of the tastiest grass. So this is the same as well for people with this state of mind, is they are looking for happiness, they're looking for material abundance. However, they don't realize that in doing so, they are potentially causing a lot of suffering for themselves, or they don't see the danger of having this attachment to this material or these material concerns. And as Drontompa said, is the result of the actions of attachment, ignorance, and anger or aversion is going down to the lower realms. And if you see around the cities, the people in the cities, what is everybody mostly involved in? Everybody's surrounded by things of attachment, of anger. Everywhere you go, there's these all sorts of different interests. But what is everybody pursuing? They're pursuing their desires. They're pursuing their attachments. They're not pursuing the Dharma. They're not really concerned with cause and effect. And so in their pursuits of these worldly concerns, how much concern do they have for cause and effect, for impermanence? What they are mostly concerned in is satisfying their attachments, their desires for material concerns. They don't really have much understanding or much respect for cause and effect. And just like the cow that was mentioned earlier, what happens is, because they don't realize that their pursuits ultimately might bring them unhappiness and suffering, it's not going to bring them long-term happiness, they will eventually suffer in the end. And also, it's very important then that we cherish the fact that we are not born as barbarians, that we have some faith in the Dharma, that we practice the Dharma, that we understand cause and effect, and we practice cause and effect, we respect it, and we respect impermanence. So this again is something to meditate on and really cherish the fact that you are not born as a barbarian. The next is to be born as heretics. This is the 6th point. And being a heretic is somebody who also doesn't have any belief in the Dharma. They actually think that maybe things like making sacrifice of animals to the gods is very, very beneficial and will help you to liberation. This is the furthest from the case. Making an offering of an animal or the flesh of an animal up to the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas is like somebody taking the flesh or offering up their own child up to the parents. This is really not something to do. This is really negative karma to offer up the life of another or an animal or its flesh. To kill an animal or sacrifice an animal as an offering up to the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. They have no consideration for cause and effect. They think that Buddhism is the wrong view, and it includes those people who are internalists or have a belief in nihilism. And they think that medicine is poison and poison is medicine. So what they indulge in or what they follow is in reality poison to them, although they think it is a good medicine to them. Just like Sunakasatra. We've mentioned Sunakasatra, and in the case of Sunakasatra, he was around Buddha for 25 years. He knew all Buddha's teachings. However, he didn't have any belief in the Dharma. He didn't have any belief in Buddha. And so he didn't attain any liberation. And so in this point as well, not being born as a heretic is also something to really celebrate, something really to appreciate, to cherish, really meditate on this, how fortunate I am that I haven't been born as a heretic, that I have faith in cause and effect and impermanence, in bodhicitta, in renunciation and wisdom emptiness, and really cherish this and practice. And then the next point of the 8 freedoms is that we are born at the time of a Buddha. And this is very important, because if we weren't born at the time of a Buddha, the teachings wouldn't be available, the teachings wouldn't exist, and so we wouldn't have Dharma to follow. And this is what we call a dark kalpa. A dark kalpa is a time that there is no Buddha and no Buddhist teachings. And then really, if you think about it, if you are born in a time of a dark kalpa, then is there any great point of being born as a human? Yeah, of course are the advantages, but not the advantage of practicing the Dharma, because there's no Dharma available. And then again, with this point, meditate, rejoice in the fact, cherish the fact that you are born in the time of a Buddha. Let this enter into your mind stream. How fortunate, and practice the Dharma. And then the next one, the last point of the 8 freedoms, is not being born as a fool. What do we mean by being born as a fool? Is somebody who doesn't have the capacity or the wisdom to be able to practice the Dharma. Maybe, for instance, somebody who is handicapped. Because of their handicap, they don't have that propensity to be able to practice the Dharma, or the inclination to practice the Dharma. They might be living as a human, however, their propensity to practice is not there. They don't have the ability to understand or to comprehend the teachings, and because they don't have this ability, then it's very difficult for them to practice. And so again, take this point, meditate on this, rejoice in this fact, let it really enter into your mind stream. How fortunate I am. I'm born with the propensity to be able to understand the Dharma and to be able to practice the Dharma, and then also then to practice the Dharma. What are these teachings doing again? They are helping us to be aware of what we have. How often are we concerned about or concentrate on what we don't have? And usually what we're worried about not having isn't really so important. Most of these things are really not so important, but we get so lost in these desires of having things that we don't have or that we want. And we think that these things are so important, and sometimes we get upset because we don't have them, when in actual fact, have a look at what we've got. We are very fortunate to have these 8 freedoms. And then having them, it's also very important that we make this life meaningful, that we utilize these freedoms, and we live a meaningful life. It's only really when something happens, maybe we're sick or we lose things, then we suddenly realize, oh, how fortunate I actually was. Don't wait for this to happen. Rather, practice and start cherishing your life and appreciate this great opportunity that we have of having this human life. Don't take it for granted. We only have this body for a limited time, maybe 60, 70, 80 years, if we're lucky. And how old are we now? So maybe we have another 30, 40, 20 years left. This body is borrowed. At the end of the day, we're going to leave it behind. Only our mind stream is going to follow, is going to continue. So it's just like a guest room. When we live in a guest room, we appreciate the guest room, we use it well, we look after it, we use it for the purposes that we want to use it for. But at the end of the day, one day we're just going to close the door and leave it. The same as well. This body of ours is here for a limited time. We only have it for some time, and then we're going to give it up. We're going to leave this world. Use it well. It is a very, very valuable tool. Do look after it, but also don't be too attached to it. And don't always think that you're always going to have the opportunity to practice. This is not the case. At some stage, this life will end, and then do we know what our next life is going to be, and what our opportunity is going to be to practice the Dharma. It's like going to an island that is full of precious jewels, but you leave the island with nothing in your hands, nothing to show for being to the island, for visiting the island. Similarly as well, we have this human life, we have this precious opportunity. Don't leave this world empty-handed. Practice. Do things meaningful. Don't leave this life with regret. Why did I waste my life? What we can do with this human life is we can really practice increasing our wisdom, decreasing our negative karma, our afflictive emotions, increasing our love and kindness and compassion. We can attain enlightenment. In the process, we can benefit others. And once we've attained enlightenment, we have a great opportunity to benefit others. Use this life so that ultimately we can recognize our true nature of mind, recognize our rigpa, cut through all of these afflictive emotions, and attain enlightenment. How do we do it? We follow the Dharma. We need to practice with diligence and grow in our compassion, our wisdom, our bodhicitta, and our love and kindness. Also very important is that we have, in addition to having this precious human life, is that we have a root guru and that we follow this root guru. Meditate on this often. Meditate on the fact that we have these 8 freedoms, that we have this very precious jewel, and use it wisely, use it well. Really let this enter into your mind stream. Not something that we just think about for 5 minutes and then we forget about it for the rest of the day. That's something that we are conscious about all the time, as often as possible, that it reminds us again and again, we have this precious opportunity. Use it well. And then let's dedicate these merits. First, in the greatest of gratitude to our perfect teachers, to all the enlightened teachers, for sharing their wisdom and their compassion with us. By this merit, may all obtain omniscience, having defeated the enemies of wrongdoings, the turbulent waves of birth, old age, sickness and death. May all be liberated from the ocean of the suffering of samsara. Sonam deye tamcha tsepani, tonye nyepe tranang kachi, keka nachi balang trupai. Sibi tsoli droa shu. Every day. Every